You know, I just need to stop saying I'm not going to talk about New York Comic Con because I've kind of been talking about it every day. Good morning, everybody. Mac here. Welcome back to the show. It is Saturday morning. It is early Saturday morning. The sun is rising. That's why you're getting such a hot spot of light right here from the sun coming in through the window. Sorry, nothing I can do about it. It's the sun. What we are here to talk about today is after I was done recording the video for last night for Big Bad Toy Store, for the Walmart Collectors Con, for the HasLab, I saw the video I saw videos for the G.I. Joe classified reveals from New York Comic Con. And of course, once I saw that, and I got a little excited about certain things and a little less excited about other things, I I had to do this. This is G.I. Joe classified. It's what I do. I mean, look at all of this G.I. Joe that we still need to get opened up here. We got Road Pig. We got the Halo Jumper. We got, who is this? We got, oh yeah, Starduster showed up. And of course, we got Retro Cobra Commander to look at. And, oh yeah, something else that's not here that's actually over there. You may even be able to see the box. We have the Night Force Ram to still take a look at. So we have a lot of in-hand stuff to look at for G.I. Joe, but today we're going to look at a lot of out-of-hand stuff for G.I. Joe. So Hasbro has not posted any videos of this panel yet for some reason, at least time of recording, nor have they posted any official photos of these things. All of the photos that we're going to be taking a look at are from histank.com. They had some pictures, they had somebody there. Toy Arc took some pictures, uploaded them to histank.com. I will put a link to the posting for them. I just want credit to be given where credit is due. These were some of the best ones that I could find. So like I said, I'll put a link. There's more on that website than we're going to be taking a look at today. So you can check them out on your own if you want to. Link in the description below. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the announcement that they made at the beginning. And let me just read it right from the image itself. Due to unexpected shifts in production, many of our 2025 G.I. Joe product shipments will be delayed. We're working hard to minimize the delay and we'll keep you updated. We appreciate the support of the G.I. Joe fan community. And there was nothing else about that. Nothing about what is the delay, why is there a delay, things like that. Just an unexpected shift in production. I'm not really worried about this. Stuff like this happens in manufacturing all the time. This may not have even been something that came out of Hasbro's side of things. This may be something that's happening across the ocean in China for all we know. So, like, that may be what the issue is, because remember, production isn't happening in the States. It's happening way over there. So I'm guessing it's coming from over there, something that's completely out of their control. As they said, unexpected, something they couldn't account for. But this means that our wallets will get a break for probably the better part of 2025. The only thing I'm concerned about is, does the HasLabs are coming in like around December to begin with. Does this mean the Rattler's not coming until 2026? You know, for somebody who said they weren't going to back it, I'm really concerned about my Rattler all of a sudden. But that's the bad news. Now let's get on to the good news. And first we're going to start with the name-only reveals. We'll go through the name-only reveals, we'll go through the render reveals, then we'll go for what's going up for pre-order, because there are going to be new pre-orders already on Tuesday, the 22nd. If I remember correctly, there's really only 3 that are going to be going up, but I think they're 3 good ones. I think they're 3 that a lot of people are going to be excited about. So for the name-only reveals, the first one we're going to take a look at is Darklon right here. And it doesn't surprise me that they're coming out with Darklon. They've really been leaning into the Iron Grenadiers lately. It started with Metalhead, and then, you know, we have the Iron Grenadiers themselves coming out. We have the Iron Grenadiers bats, which just look awesome, that are going to be coming out. So Darklon doesn't surprise me. The only thing that surprises me is that we still haven't gotten the golden masked Destro and his despoiler yet. So canonically, Darklon is Destro's cousin. He's part of the family. That's why he wears a mask as well. Now, there were some people that were wondering if he was going to come with his vehicle, and I can't remember. I just forgot what it was. Give me 1 second. Okay, the Evader, this thing. That people were wondering if it was going to be Darklon and the Evader. I don't think it's going to be. I think it's just going to be Darklon. In the 2017, was it 2017? I think it was, when he was reissued in the 3 3/4. He was just issued on a card back, so the Evader isn't exactly like attached to him. I mean, there's versions of Darklon that you don't get the Evader. I personally don't care if we get it or not because I think the Evader, it's kind of stupid looking. Like, I never liked it. Even with the vintage line, I sort of like put that aside and I just had him drive a demon tank. Now, the other reason I don't think we're going to be getting the Evader is because I think this is the new version of Darklon that they're going to be basing this off of. Because when they were talking about him at the reveals, they talked about how he's running his own country, Darklonia. And in the original vintage figure, his backstory, he wasn't a ruler. He wasn't like, you know, dollar store Doctor Doom. He was a mercenary, and like you kind of got the idea that Destro was the arms dealer, Darklon was the mercenary. Darklon bought from Destro and showed off his product, blah 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 blah. That whole thing, that the two of them sort of had like this symbiotic relationship as far as like weapons of war went. However, when they were talking about him and they mentioned him being leader of a country, being leader of Darklonia, that is his new backstory. That is from the Energon universe. So that raises a couple of questions to me that I don't think he's going to have the Evader for that reason, because so far I don't think they've shown him with the Evader in the comics. But more than that, there's images of him in IDW with his mask off. So I'm not IDW, Skybound image, basically, with his mask off. So I do wonder if when we get him, if the mask is going to be molded onto him like most of the figures with masks are, or if this is going to come off and you're going to have a face sculpt underneath. I think that's very interesting. They did say he's going to have his big Hork and ridiculous weapon right here, which I think was like a rotating barrel missile launcher. That was a really weird gun. So that was the first name only reveal. The second name only reveal we have is Crystal Ball, which at first I was curious as to why they were going with him. He's pretty much been labeled the most hated figure of the G.I. Joe line. He was the brainchild of like Stephen and Owen King. As a matter of fact, I think Stephen King wrote his file card and based a lot of like his childhood and backstory off of Owen, his son. It was really weird how that came to be, but I think it was basically because Owen, as a kid, really liked G.I. Joe. So they were like, hey, my son wants a magician in the G.I. Joe line. Enter Crystal Ball. Now, when they were talking about him at the panel, they were saying that Lenny has really gone to great lengths to kind of redesign him, reinvent him, and even people who weren't fans of the original are really going to like what's being done with him. And that made me think of Crystal Ball's bio on the old G.I. Joe trading cards. Because on the trading cards, they said that he was a citizen of Cobra Law. And because he was the seventh son of the seventh son, he had mystical powers. So now I'm going back to, we have Nemesis coming out. They've released Once a Man Cobra Commander. It's only a matter of time before we get Globulus the Royal Guard and Pythona. Are they going to make Crystal Ball in the classified line a member of Cobra Law? And is that going to be what he is in the new G.I. Joe Energon universe? Since we know in the Energon universe, Cobra Law is a factor. So I'm curious about that. If he's just going to be like a dude that's really good at hypnotizing people, or if he is going to supposedly have some sort of mystic powers and he's a citizen of Cobra Law, and they've kind of redesigned him to fit that mold, that aesthetic. So I'm curious about that. I don't know if I'm still excited about it because I had Crystal Ball, mainly because I liked the lenticular shield that he had. But even after I got him, I was like, this dude is stupid. Um, so if you like him, this should be right up your alley. But for me, I'll check him out. I'll see what he's all about. And then I'll decide if I'm excited about it or not. The third name only reveal we have is Snake Eyes. There's always going to be a Snake Eyes in the line, just like there's always going to be a Batman, there's always going to be a Wolverine, there's always going to be a Snake Eyes coming out. This is version 4 of Snake Eyes in his blue outfit. This version I didn't have. I can't help but notice that they completely skipped over version 3, my personal favorite version of him with the crossed butterfly sabers on his chest. But hey, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about this one, version 4. It went 1, 2, 4. Guys, it's right there. Anyhow, so we have another Snake Eyes coming out. I don't know enough about this version of Snake Eyes to even guess what he's going to have. Obviously, he's going to have his swords. We know he has the red visor. This is kind of like, from what I've seen, it's kind of like an updated commando version of Snake Eyes, and instead of all black, he's wearing that midnight blue, which actually I think would work better for hiding at night. Black doesn't really work that well at night, believe it or not. So this version might be cool. Like, it's sort of like the commando version with a little bit of the ninja shoved in there for good measure. But we didn't actually see any pictures. We just saw this cover of the comic book. So we didn't even see like a retro image of Dark Lawn to compare it to. And those were the name only reveals. After that, we had the digital renders, which they did apologize that they completely missed the digital renders at PulseCon. So here we have them now. And the first one we're going to take a look at is the one that has already been revealed as a name only reveal, the one that a lot of people were excited about. We have Footloose right here. And the thing that's interesting to me about Footloose, I wasn't initially excited about him. He was another infantry dude, but he comes with a bazooka. And I don't remember the vintage figure coming with a bazooka. It's Bazooka's bazooka, I think. And it just has one rocket that you can load in there. Or is that a whole new sculpt? Is that a bazooka or is that a law rocket? I think that's supposed to be a law rocket. I think that's new. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I didn't have bazooka, but I had my Hiss fire team sitting right over there with my Hiss tank. And he has his bazooka right here. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's a new mold. That's not a bazooka. That is a law rocket. Or I'm sorry, that's a law rocket right there. So that's pretty cool. It's a new sculpt. It's a new mold. I'm kind of excited about that now. I love like the shark grin that it has on it. So he has the law rocket. He has the M16. He has a sidearm. He has his knife. He has his backpack, which we've seen numerous times. Helmet, the figure, and it looks like just one missile or one rocket to come out of the law launcher, which is fine because if I remember correctly, law is basically a fire and toss. So that's pretty cool now. I'm a little bit more excited about this. They gave him that unique thing to make him stand out to me. I know there will probably be some people that are upset that he doesn't have like the foliage coming out of the helmet, because I remember that was a big thing with the character, both in the comics, in the figure, and in the cartoon as well, that he had like the brush coming off of his helmet. But there he is. Decent camo pattern. I'm surprised they went with the old style camo pattern and didn't give him like a more digital updated camo pattern and then saved a look for this for like the retro card line. But aesthetically, I do like the look of the older camo patterns on military figures like this. Realistically, it should be a digital thing. Hey guys, Mac here from the future. I made a mistake. The vintage figure of Footloose did 100% come with a law rocket. I think in my head I kept getting his gear and his look mixed up with Spearhead from the old line. The next one up that we have that I want to take a look at is we are getting what looks to be our first play set of a type for G.I.Joe Classified series. Now in the vintage line, there was this Cobra bunker, and this was part of those emplacements that used to come out for the old vintage line, that this is the Cobra bunker, and then there was like a G.I. Joe bivouac, a lookout tower, things like that. I forget if Cobra had anything else, but I remember this bunker even though I didn't have it. So for the classified line, we're getting an updated version of that bunker, and that is this. And while it doesn't look like much, I'm curious as to what the price point is going to be, because if we look at this image right here, which is a little skewed, but you can see that there's the bunker, and then there's like two others that have been collapsed to sort of make like walls or like a lookout tower or something, that they did say this is going to be modular, that you can pretty much set it up however you want. You can display it. They can connect together. So you can get multiples of them and sort of link them together and make a larger like field base if you would want to. So that's cool. I don't know if I will be getting multiples of them. I'll probably be getting one. And we are getting a new figure with that as well, and that is the Trench Viper. And I'm kind of neutral on the Trench Viper, to be completely honest. Like, they called him a Trench Viper, but he's a repaint of the Alley Viper. Let's be honest. That's all he is. And he doesn't come with a, doesn't look like he comes with a regular rifle. He comes with that Ma Deuce right there, that M2. But we saw that like sticking out of the bunker. And he has a sidearm, two knives, the shield. So he's basically an Alley Viper with a Browning 50 cal. We haven't really engaged in trench warfare for some time, probably at least 100 years or more at this point. So Trench Viper does sound really cool, but there's no trench warfare anymore. If there was anything that he should have as a trench gun, it should actually be something like this, the shotgun that came with like CoverGirl and Clutch. That this would be a good trench weapon for somebody like him. So I may, this is General Hawks. When I get this, I may have just like the Browning 50 cal sticking out of the bunker, and maybe just get rid of the shield and give him this as, you know, like his personal weapon. So there's the Trench Viper. No idea on what the price of this is going to be. I'm going to guess it's going to be about the same price as like a figure in a vehicle, which is probably going to put it at about $50. That's my guess. Maybe 75, but I'm gonna guess like $50, $55, somewhere in there. The next name only reveal, or I'm sorry, the next render reveal that we have, I'm actually really excited about. It is the G.I. Joe classified first responder fireman. This is following forward with that 60th anniversary line that they had coming out. That was, let me grab it, these guys. That so far we have the Halo Jumper, the Navy Diver, the Soldier, and we have the Marine Sniper coming. And it looks like they're going to continue this line, and I'm really happy about that. And I am really happy that they're coming out with the first responders, because, and a couple of reasons. In the original 12-inch line, they had figures like this. They had first responders, they had paramedics, they had firemen, they had policemen. I think this is great. Growing up, I had a lot of friends that were first responders. They were volunteer firemen, they were volunteer paramedics. As crazy as things were, I had friends that were paramedics that saved other of our friends that were in accidents. So, like, I really love that they're doing something like this. I know I have a couple of first responders that watch the channel. What do you think about this? How do you feel about this? Like, if they're going to go through with this, obviously we're going to get the firemen, which you see right here. No doubt that we're going to get a paramedic. No doubt that we're going to get a police officer. Like, what else could they put into that? I really dig the look of this one. I like that the reflective stripes, the reflective bands on his fire suit. Two heads that you can swap out, the fire helmet, the oxygen mask, the oxygen tank that will go on his back. All of like the breaching equipment that he has, the axe, the pry bar, the sledgehammer, the mallet, the hand axes, the jaws of life. Like, and I think that thing down in the corner, I think that's like a burn blanket. I forget what it's actually called. I called it a burn blanket, that they could wrap it around people to get them through the fire so that they wouldn't catch. I think this is cool for all the reasons I just told you, but also I love that there's a possibility now that they're just going to continue like this 60th anniversary line, that they're going to continue this line of figures that sort of harkens back to the origins of G.I. Joe in the old 12-inch line days. I think there's a lot of potential here. There's a lot of possibilities. I really hope that they continue through with this. Love the colors on this too, like the emergency orange that's on the Jaws of Life, the color jobs that's on the axes, the color for the helmets, for the uniform, the fire suit. The only thing I can say about that helmet is, after seeing all of the helmets of my friends that were volunteer firefighters, that helmet is way too clean. I might scuff it up once I get it, just to give a little bit of authenticity to it. The next digital render we have now, back at Comic-Con, they were talking about the mass device, and about how there's going to be figures. They had dropped like a hint of the mass device and how they were going to be doing something with the mass device. We have the first reveal of that, and it is another Snake Eyes, but I'm not going to be sarcastic about this one, because you also get a polar bear. Snake Eyes and a polar bear. This was not something that was on my radar. If you remember way back at Comic-Con, they did the tease of the image, and on the fan stream they put the wrong picture up. I don't know if you remember me telling you about that, but they showed the G.I. Joe bunker with all of the claws flying around and rattlers in the background, and it was like, this image is supposed to like give a hint as to what was to come, but then, like I said, it was the wrong image. It was a pair of bear claws crossed. That's what this was in reference to. This is from the cartoon when Snake Eyes was radioactive and he was glowing. That's why he has the pink hands, that like his hands are glowing from the radiation. They are, from what they said, they're pink translucent hands, so they do have a little bit of glow to them. You can see that he also has standard trigger hands, so he can hold the laser rifle that's up top right there. And we have the bear, we have the bear trap, we have the radioactive material and the canister that he was going after, along with the actual like mass canister right there. That, I'm looking at that, and I think that's the canister that you put the brain in for Mindbender from the exclusive that came out a few years ago. So this is what they're going to be doing. That it looks like they're going to be coming out with a figure from that line, or from that series, for the 3 different items that you needed for the mass device. I'm a little disappointed, but I'm not, because my expectations were probably too high. That when they were talking about doing this, I didn't think it was going to be something like this. I thought there might be a line of figures coming out based on that pilot mini-series, and it had like a build-a-device to it, that like for every figure you had, it had a piece of the mass device, and you could build the mass device. That's what I had my hopes up for. But this is kind of cool that, first of all, we know we're going to get at least 2 more. We don't know who or what they are yet. I have some predictions of what I think they might be, but we'll talk about that in a second. But also, now we have the Sunbow cartoon coming into the classified line. And while I wasn't a fan of the cartoon, I know there are a lot of people that were, and I think something like this is going to be right up their alley. Heck, even I'm going to pick this up because it has a freaking bear. I mean, come on. This is just going to be cool. Oh, by the way, that piece up there that has the 2 arrows sticking out of it that you can put on the bear to make it look like he's been shot, they had mentioned that there's something cool on the other side, but they're not revealing what it is yet. So we'll have to wait and see for that. So now, like, the way I'm looking at it, there are so many possibilities with the classified line now, that you have the regular classified line, you have the retro carded figures, you have the 60th anniversary figures, And now we're going to be getting into the Sunbow figures. So I really like how it's not just classified, that like it's branching out and there's something for everybody in here. I think that's really cool. I think that's really great. I think that's really going to lend to the longevity of the classified series. The only thing that might be a bummer about this is kind of treading into the area of where like Super 7 is making their Ultimates. I don't know if maybe something like this is going to take focus away from that. I guess it's going to depend on how many of the Sunbow figures they actually make. Now on to what I think is going to be the rest of the mass device, of what's going to be the other two figures, at least two figures that we know of. I'm predicting that there's going to be a Sunbow version of the Baroness, and with her will be a tube worm from when they were going after the heavy water and she was in that submersible and the tube worm was wrapped around it. I'm thinking of that. Could you imagine getting like a tube worm in the classified line? How insane would that be? And then the other one that I would guess is going to be a 2-pack that will be Duke and the Champion. I don't think they ever gave him a name. He was just the Champion that Duke had. Duke was made to fight in the arena of sport during the mass device. So those are my predictions. Only time will tell if I'm right. I'm usually wrong, so I'm not holding my breath on that one. But to me, I think that's what the next ones should be. I think that would be pretty cool right there. And is that it? Yes, that is it for the name only reveals. Now what we have left is the pre-orders. There are 3 that are going up on Tuesday, October 22nd. They are all retro card figures. And the first one that we're going to be taking a look at is my man, my hero, my champion, Rock and Roll. And this one definitely has that retro feel, that retro vibe to it. But to be completely honest, this is probably the easiest one to do. They just took the Rock and Roll that they made, they painted him green, took the tattoos off, and there you have a retro Rock and Roll. He's probably the best one. I feel like him and Stalker right here are the best looking two of the retro series. And I think it's really great that they're taking care of hitting up like the original line, the original figures that came out, that we've had Snake Eyes, now we got Rock and Roll, we got Scarlet, we got Stalker. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point there's going to be a retro card version of Breaker, especially since he came with the Ram and not everybody was able to get the Ram at the time. So I feel like we'll be getting a retro card version of him at some point. I also, who else? Grunt? I don't know if they would do a retro card version of Grunt because it's Grunt. Like, I don't see him looking any different other than maybe taking off the armor and actually reducing the amount of accessories that he comes with. But we'll have to wait and see. We still need Grand Slam. We still need Rock and Roll. We still need Short Fuse, Steeler, and the version of Colonel Hawk, which I think I'm not going to be surprised whenever they come out with like the G.I.Joe version of the HMS that we get a Colonel Hawk with that as well. So that one is coming up for pre-order. The next one that we're coming up for pre-order is going to be this guy. Let's talk about this guy first. The Viper, the standard Viper. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that are really excited about getting this because the original Viper was a Cobra Island exclusive back in the dark days of the Target exclusives when you couldn't get them at all. And then since then, they've come out with like the Crimson Viper and the Python Patrol Viper. They came out with those Viper 3-packs. And we've gotten other Vipers. People have had other ways to get Vipers, but not the standard Viper. And they made it a point to note that the sleeves were rolled up. They're not covered up. And he's basically going to be like your standard Viper. It looks like the blue is going to be a little bit brighter, just like with, I thought I had the Cobra Trooper here, but just like how we had with the Cobra Trooper. This is cool. I think this is great. Getting those Cobra Island, those old Cobra Island exclusives back into people's hands in this manner, I think is a fantastic way of going about doing it. They have to do a Major Blood at some point. They have to do a Major Blood. He was one of the hardest ones to get their hands on. I'm lucky I got my hands on one from Target to boot. So they have to do a Major Blood coming up soon. I think once they do Major Blood, that will be the end. Oh yeah, because they did Baroness too. So I think once they do Major Blood, that will be the end of the Cobra Island exclusives. Oh, other than Breaker, I just showed you. That's right. So there's your Viper. Retro card coming out. Booyah. The last one, I think, is a stroke of genius because this takes care of basically the same problem we had with the Cobra Island exclusives. That there is a retro card, Dr. Mindbender, coming out. And a lot of people didn't get him because was he a PulseCon exclusive or was he a Comic-Con exclusive? I think he was the Comic-Con exclusive and then Serpentor was the PulseCon exclusive. Either way, a lot of people didn't get him as well. So he's not going to have all of the kibble that the Comic-Con exclusive came with, but I think there's a lot of people that just don't care about that. They just want everyone's favorite demented dentist right here. That the purple is going to be more purple. He has that vintage look. He'll fit into the line, fill the space that a lot of people have left because they didn't get Mindbender. And this one is going to have the silver Cobra logo on the back of his cape, just like the vintage figure did. So I think it's really great that not only are they using this retro line to sort of branch out the classified series like we just spoke about a few minutes ago, but they're also using it to get figures into the hands of people that missed it when they were exclusives. And I think that is the right way to go. So I'm very optimistic that at some point we're going to get a retro card Serpentor, that it'll just be Serpentor without the air chariot and probably just one headpiece instead of the multiple headpieces. And I'm also willing to bet that not next year, but maybe in 2026, there will be a retro card version of Chuckles or at some point in the future like that as well. Getting these exclusives that people missed out on and a few years later putting them up as retro card figures. That's the way to do it. And then also, like, even people who already have all of these will probably go for it anyway just because it's that original look. Now, to be completely honest, this line of the retro figures, the only one that I'm probably going to get right off the bat is going to be Rock and Roll. Mindbender, I'm fine. I was fortunate enough to get my hands on the Comic-Con exclusive. I'm in no rush to get the retro version of them. Same thing with the Viper. I have Vipers. I have Cobra Island Vipers. I have the Viper 3-pack. I was never a big fan of the Vipers. I always liked these guys better. So the Vipers I have, I'll be happy with. I don't even know if I'm going to get a carded version of this one. I love that we're at the point with the classified line that before I was like, I got to get this, I got to get this, I got to get this. But now we're at the point that it's like, I can pick and choose. We can all pick and choose and let things pass because there's so much out there. There's so many options. I think that's fantastic. So that was everything that was... Oh, no. There is one other thing. There is one other thing that I forgot, that there was this hint right here of something that's coming out. Now, this is the Awe Striker. I think everybody knows that, except Mac. Because when I first saw this, like now I realize it's the Awe Striker. But when I first saw this, I saw that tire, I saw the bent fender, and I thought, oh my God, they're doing a classified Mean Dog. They're not doing a classified Mean Dog. Even if that was the HasLab, that thing would be ridiculously huge and overpriced. And the Mean Dog was ridiculous. I loved it, but it was ridiculous. No, this is definitely going to be like the next vehicle and figure that comes out, like the Vamp, that this is probably going to be $75 to $100, and it's going to be the Oz Striker, and it's going to be a crankcase. So that's what we have right there. I'm trying to see if the tire says anything that gives, not really, but we know what that's going to be. So we have that to look forward to. Unless I'm right and it is the Mean Dog, but I don't think it is. So that was all they had to reveal for the G.I. Joe portion of the panel. They did go on to talk about other lines, but I'll be honest, this is the only one that I really paid attention to. This is the only one that I saw. So this is what we have to look forward to in 2025 with delays in production. Who knows when it's going to be coming out? Because remember, those 3 items are going up for pre-order on Tuesday, October 22nd on Hasbro Pulse, and as she said, wherever fine toys are sold. But because they're 2025 product, I don't think they have an idea of when they're actually going to get into our hands. So just keep that in mind when they go up for pre-order on Tuesday as well. They'll probably sell out first at Hasbro Pulse, they always do, but then you'll have them at places like Entertainment Earth. So that's always going to be an option. Don't touch that dial. Before you go, please remember to do all the YouTube things, like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you already are a subscriber, what a legend you are. If you like what we do here and you want to help the channel grow, please consider becoming a member, whether through YouTube memberships or our coffee monthly subscription. Links to that in the description below. Both of them for $1 a month, you can get access to exclusive content, such as our monthly member exclusive video. This month is the Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Stinger. So until next time, my friends, play well, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.